Made this short video after I created the larger one that you're going to watch because I realized I need to introduce it better. Okay. Because I can be speaking to a very wide audience from total beginners, newbies, inexperienced, all the way to more advanced traders. Advanced traders will understand immediately what I'm talking about and that I'm not predicting anything. All influencers you're listening to, what they do is they put a full big disclaimer. This is not financial advice. Do your own research, but you better buy my shit coin because it's going to do 100x. Oh, it's kind of defeat the purpose. So I'm not like this because real trading is not about prediction. It's about preparedness. And this whole video is about preparedness in case it happens. Okay, it could. And we'll separate this into two components depending on where you are on your journey as a trader, as an investor. If it's your first time around or last cycle was your first time around, know what it looks like to HODL. Okay. Now, since you've lost a lot of money in your phase one, you swore to yourself that you will never HODL again. So the phase two of your journey is now your focus on selling. Both are a form of FOMO. Okay. Well, depending on how the selling is handled. Your first phase, the FOMO, was the fear of missing out future profit. The second phase is now your focus on selling and not getting screwed, that your FOMO has been transferred to the fear of missing out on current profit. You don't want to lose what you've made, which is not bad. It's better than phase one, but it's still incomplete. It's still going to screw you up because if we enter into a massive multi-year bull market, which is fun, look at gold. Who predicted gold would do that 3 years ago? Nobody. There's nothing wrong in planning for the possibility of an Ethereum multi-year bull market that could drive this thing to 20,000 in 3 years from now. Who knows? You don't know. I don't know. But if it happens, this video will show you how to handle this and how to milk that trend without being greedy. That's the point. It's about removing your emotions. Because trust me, the first phase that made you a lot of money that you lost after, it's because during the hot phase, you were not concerned about selling. You were a hodler. Everybody told you, never sell, never sell. You would, every correction, you were not happy, but yeah, let's buy more until it stopped working. So your focus was not on selling in your first phase of your journey. Now, your journey, your trauma of losing all your money brought you the awareness that you need to sell now. Since you don't have a lot of foresight yet and not enough experience to know what's ahead for you, because it's just a new mindset that you've discovered, you're practicing it, and it's going to take you a whole cycle to learn that wanting to sell is right. But the way you're going to sell will matter. Because what's going to happen is like now your emotion will start driving you. Every time it's going to burst to the upside, you're going to freak out and you're going to sell. And then it's going to correct for 2 days, 3 days, it's going to drop 20, 30%, and you're going to believe that it's over. It's a bear market. And then suddenly it starts moving back up again. And it keeps moving. Oh, geez, wow. And maybe on the next sell-off. And then it starts making you high. And now you start chasing. And now you screw yourself up all the way up. Okay? I can tell you ahead of time, this is going to happen in a market like this if you don't have the experience, if you don't have a specific process to adhere to. Okay? This whole video is about that. And it's probably just part one of two. Because I'll finish with this. If you think now that you have the awareness that you want to cash in profit and you want to sell, the mistake you will do, and I can write it in a paper, put it in an envelope and say, open it after the bull market. What's going to be written is, I knew you would sell too early. We all go through those phases. I'm no different, been there, done that. That's why I can talk to you this way with so much certainty. It's always easy to look at a chart and purposefully, even if it's 4 years ago, I purposefully put it on the daily chart because there's more emotion. And I'm not going to go down to the 4 hour or the 5 minutes. You're going to die. But this is 2 weeks, guys. Ethereum doubled in 2 weeks. just look at the chart and try to drive the emotion. You won't even be able to create or recreate the emotion unless you've lived it. But the emotions are real. And you know that because you've seen it elsewhere and in other coins you were. And then next week, boom, 30% correction. A third of what you made that week is gone. And the week, I mean, if I put a weekly, you would see that the week ended exactly where it started. Like nothing happened, but something happened. So if you don't have a solid ground to make your decision, you're going to get taken out here. Oh, it's a bear market, it's over. And then boom, it doesn't double, it tripled. 200%, it's triple. It's 2x. Doubling is 1x, it's 100%. That's triple in the next month and a half. And then boom, another 30% correction. And then you say it's over. Yeah, bear market. And boom. Gosh, I'm glad I saw that. And then you start chasing again. And then you panic here because, geez, man, it's going to 1 million. And then 50% crash. Without a process and with the awareness of you need to sell, I can guarantee it's going to be very difficult unless you have a specific set of rules and a strong mindset. And that is what I'm talking about in that video. Not prediction, preparedness. Let's do this. This is a very important video, if I may say so myself. It is important because I'm going to show you something that should help you for the rest of your life. Depending on how many cycles you've done through, I will go over the typical journey of every investor, every trader. Why you and I know this? Because I went through all of them. I'm no exception. So the first phase of a young investor, trader, it's typically our degen phase. The reason is very simple, because those of us are attracted to the stock market, to now the crypto market. Let's be honest, it's greed. We want to make it quick and we want to make it big. Nothing wrong with that. That's the initial motivation. And then you realize that because that phase starts, I mean, when I started, it was the same thing. Most people like this will start in a bull market. And then you make a ton of money, and 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, if you're lucky, 2 years. And then suddenly the inevitable happens. And you lose it all, or almost of it. No matter what percentage, doesn't matter. You realize that you were not a genius. You were just at the right place at the right time. So this phase here is being at the right place at the right time. So the reason you made so much money is because you were naive. Okay, you didn't know better. So you were the HODL gang, and the HODL, and here it's going to 10,000, and that 10,000 is going to go to 20, and it never ends. Okay, that's your first cycle. So you don't know better. So you hold forever because you're being brainwashed by people that's telling you to hold forever. And that's Ethereum, and you've got Bitcoin. So these didn't go back to zero. Okay. But most of people, Ethereum was not enough. You had to have a token garbage meme shit coin that you thought you make you millionaire. And that failed completely. So those went all the way back to there. So you've learned your lesson. Okay. So now you know, so, okay, hey, next cycle, I'm not going to get screwed like this. So what happens in the next cycle, first of all, it took 5 years. So now you don't believe in anything anymore. It's all garbage. It's never going to happen again. And I'm so tired of the 100x influencers. And so the market has done its job at creating an environment where people stop believing. And even to this day, as I'm recording this, we're probably just leaving right now because Ethereum just made its new all-time high. So it's going to be, everybody's going to talk about it. And so the mood's going to shift from disbelief into optimism. And that's the nature of market. This is markets, very simple, guys. Okay. It moves into two phases. I'm going to use the word phases versus stages, because stages, I have a different definition of that. In 2 phases, they either expand or they contract, and one leads to the other. It's really It's not easy, but it is that simple. 2 phases: expansion, contraction, expansion. So once you start a phase of expansion, the greatest mistake people do is thinking that it has to end right away. Okay. And so in your second cycle, you say, I'm going to sell this time. So during this whole phase, you're going to be stressed and wondering when it is time to sell. So at every, this is weekly, like we had here, it's here, that sell off here. See, on a weekly chart, it's not even visible. And I'm going to talk about the mindset required to ride something like this. Trust me, it's not easy. If you did it before, it's because, again, you've done it, not through skill, you've done it through naivety, inexperience. You just didn't bother, so you just let it ride. But now, because of your trauma of losing everything or almost everything, doesn't matter how much, or losing years of recovering something like this. See, if you bought at the peak of the cycle, you're just in green after 4 years. But that's not what a full cycle investor does. So that's the amateur phase. And so I just know how you're going to deal with this if it's just your second cycle. I can tell you. And this is what I'm talking about right now, is you're going to sell too early. Because your focus now is so on not to get caught that you're automatically going to be nervous all the way up. Whether Ethereum goes to 7,000, 10,000, 15, 20, doesn't matter. You're not going to be there. Because what's going to happen in your mind is you're going to sell early, and we're going to have a 2-day or 1-week correction like we just did, and you think it's going to go lower, and you're not buying back. So now you're chasing. If you didn't get back in, if you sold, you're chasing already. Because this market is so powerful that that's exactly what it does. It does not allow traders, lazy traders, to get back in their trade because they're stuck in their mind. Okay? Just look at how powerful this trend is. Okay, forget that we did not go as low as this, but essentially, in 4 months, Ethereum recovered 1% of its. I mean, it took 4 years of misery, of nonsense, of going nowhere before it kicks something, and that's a kickoff. Everybody knows I've turned extremely bullish on that week here. I was a relentless bear spitting on Ethereum because I could not understand why people would buy Ethereum or hold Ethereum while Bitcoin was doing this or anything else. Now it's the reverse. Bitcoin dominance is literally crashing into the dumpster. We are now into an Ethereum dominance. Don't fight the trends. Okay? The way to deal with this, your third phase, if you haven't done the phase 2 yet, you can skip it with what I'm going to tell you, okay? And move on to the third phase. The third phase is learning how to live with this without freaking out at every correction so that you can milk this without the fear of not selling when it's going to be the real time to sell. Let's just look at that week here. Okay, this week in January 2021. The previous 2 weeks saw a 50% rally. And the following week, we lost quarter to a third of it. Do you think that's easy? That means the market was down 25, 30% that week. End up closing at the same level. Can you handle that? Probably not, because if you are worried about the little blip we just had here, then you're never, ever going to make it to ride a trend like this. So the mindset, you need a very strong set of rules and a very strong mindset in order to handle something like this. So from your first experience, you've learned that you need to sell. The second experience is you're freaking out about not selling early, not too late, which is, again, it's a mindset based on fear, not in control. You're not in control. The market is still controlling you. It's just the fear has shifted. The market, your first experience made you a little bit more conservative, more open to sell. Now suddenly HODL is not so sexy. Your mantra has changed. In market, everything is a trade-off. Everything is a choice that you have to make, and you have to be cognizant of what that choice is, and you have to stick to it. Okay? There's no free lunch. There's no grabbing 100% of any trend. That is impossible. Nobody can buy that bottom tick and sell that top tick. Okay? None. Zero in the whole on the whole planet. Maybe there's obviously somebody that bought the bottom tick, but it's not going to sell the top tick. Okay? So having both of them is impossible. It's going to rain gold before you can do that. So you have to start with that premise. I'll never milk the whole trend. If you accept this down to your core, down to your DNA, the motto of old samurai was first accept death, so that you don't go into a battle with the fear of dying. It frees yourself to liberate you so you can use your skill to the fullest. So in trading, it's the same thing. Enter the battle knowing that you will never, ever capture 100% of any trend. Accept that from the get-go. So once you liberate yourself from the fear of missing out, the fear of not selling anymore, because now you know you have to sell, but you don't know when. So you freak out all the time because you've been traumatized by experience number one. Know thyself and know that there's no free lunch. You have to make a choice. There's always a trade-off in trading. Always. You have to let something go in order to have something. You cannot have everything. You cannot ride a trend like this and at the same time being afraid of every little correction. So the best way to do this, if you truly are a long-term investor, that seeing a week that is down 10, 15, 20% does not bother you. If your trend is not changing, you carry on. So the choice or the trade-off is in advance that you are not ever going to pick the top. So the money that you're going to leave on the table, because that's what it is. It's, as traders, investors, we have to choose where and how we're going to leave money on the table, the crumbs for others. You cannot milk 100%. You have to let others feed themselves too. You have to share the trend. It's another way of saying you have to share it because you cannot have it all. Okay, so the way you're going to share it is you are in control of that decision, not the market. You are going to decide exactly when and how and why you're going to dump your position. This is 2020 hindsight, okay? But even with 2020 hindsight, did that trend ever went even yellow? Did it go red? So no matter where you bought here, if your goal is to milk a trend like this, only the toughest traders will ride a trend like this with the notion of eventually selling, okay? It's not like HODL. I'm not talking about HODL here. I'm talking about actively managing position for the long term. Essentially, riding cycle. If you sold here, I'll tell you why it was possible. Then you skip all this. So if it is following the green colors of our indicator, which gonna keep you forever, if it continued to 10,000 from here, it would still be in. And so you have two major tools just on this alone. The color of the bars tells you that it's a strong uptrend, sustainable uptrend, and any long-term trend will have a shitload of volatility. That 25-30% drop that week, this is a bear market in itself. That was like 50%. It doesn't mean that you cannot sell here. Well, I'll add this to another discussion later. Or you can also micromanage a trend like this. But now you enter into becoming a skilled trader. So if you don't think you're skilled yet, then just stick to the trend. And you have a second backup here. This line here. Did it ever flip purple? The first time it flipped purple, where? Here, 1 day before the yellow. Don't you think that even if you just bought the flip of the green here, okay, or anywhere here before the breakout, or worse, your innocence there, because you don't have a process to be a full cycle investor. But now you know that because you've had your experience. So don't you think, see, that is your decision. You leave those crumbs for other people, and you leave those crumbs for the other people too. You have to be satisfied when trading, whether it's short-term or long-term. You have to be satisfied with 70 to 80% of the trend. So if you enter the battle knowing that it's going to cost you 20% of the move in order to participate, that is the cost. That is the cost of business. There's no business in the world that has zero cost. Even if you don't produce our good, you still have offices, you have subscriptions, you have employees, you got to pay your accountant. It never ends. Okay. There's no business in the world that operates without cost. Nobody has 1% margin. If trading is a business and you think you can have everything without making any concession, you're dreaming. It's a fallacy. It's a fantasy world. There's a cost to run that business. You have to accept that cost up front, knowing full well that it has nothing to do with being perfect and doing better. No, it's you have rules. And you know it's going to cost you 20%. Okay, you know that. That's the cost of doing business. That's the flour you buy to make bread. That's the employee you pay and the coders you pay to produce the software. Software doesn't cost nothing, even if it doesn't cost anything to put it in the cloud. And even then, you got to pay for that cloud. With this video, I'm strictly really focusing on how to ride something like this. So do you understand how strong your mindset needs to be? You need to know where your focus is. Are you going to focus? If you're a short-term trader, fine, you can focus on both directions. And I can talk a little bit about this. When you have strong excursion like this, yeah, it's not bad to pay the profit, but you need to know what you're doing, because I know what's going to happen. It's never going to drop enough for you to be satisfied. You're not going to buy and then say, oh, maybe I'm going to wait for the next, and then boom, you buy to a new high. So you constantly chase yourself. So your risk increases all the time, because the stronger a trend is, the more volatile it becomes, the harder it is to trade as a beginner. And the reason why I'm spending so much time on this is because what if this is this? I'm not telling you it is. And you shouldn't be worried about that. What I'm telling you is that if it is, you just let it run. If your goal is to not micromanage it and ride it. Imagine we wait 3-4 years for this to happen. And at this stage, the market is still in disbelief mode. It's unbelievable. For me, it's magical, because that tells me that we are in something like this. I'm not saying it's going to be that explosive, but you just never know. The most difficult part of a no longer naive investor that thinks he can HODL all his life is the next phase. Once you become aware that there's no free lunch, and then you have no skill and you don't know what to do, and you listen to everybody around you wondering what I should do, while what we teach you is to be self-sufficient so that you don't have to listen to anybody else. The more outside input you add to your brain, the more confused you'll be. That's it. It's never going to help you. Expansion, contraction, most probably expansion. That's the phases of the market. So, and typically, the longer the contraction, the bigger the expansion. So can you imagine you've been suffering for 4 years, waiting for something to happen. Now it's happening and you're in a hurry to sell. Can you imagine and that's why, I mean, that's phase number 2. What I'm trying to convey to you is you can skip that phase and learn right now how to milk a trend like this. It is not easy once you have the awareness that you want to sell. Let's add another tool. Our dots, okay, that's another way of doing it. Did you ever add even a red dot? First red dot was here. So why don't you just write the dots? That's another way of doing it. You have many tools. Now, the bands. I'm going to add the bands to that because it's too important right here. I look at this for me, and of course, I would never, ever say it's guaranteed. Okay, or trust me, it's going to break out. I have my own internal perception that I should not share because it's too dangerous in the hands of an unskilled trader or investor. Because I can maneuver, I can control myself, I can control my trade. If I'm wrong, I'm going to get out, but you won't. Okay, so I have to be very careful in how I formulate things. Part of what I teach in the foundational course is how to work with the bands, how to handle them, and where the signals are. That was one of them. And where we are here, for me, it is equivalent to this here. Disbelief in that period, optimism, euphoria. Okay? Disbelief, we had our correction, 1 week correction, and that is what I want to point out. Let's put that on the daily. So imagine, that was not an all-time high here, but Bitcoin did an all-time high on August 14. And this one made a new high, breaking above its monthly band. Okay, monthly volatility band. It's extremely significant. And the market goes into a week of correction. And during that tiny, puny little correction, sentiment dropped to 43%. 43% bulls on a new freaking all-time high. I'm not going to say I've never seen this because I have seen it, but I know exactly what that means. That's what this belief is. This is what FUD does. Bull markets run on FUD and bear markets run on hope. Because everybody is naturally scared of height. And everybody, amateur, are attracted to price dropping. It's on sale. It's cheap. So in my own lingo, this is an outside bull setup. Not here to go in deep detail of what that is and why that is. Let me put it on the 4 hour to see how clean it is. This is when market shift into another gear, because this is historical. Okay, this is the best way I can say this is think in terms of the bell curve, the statistical bell curve. This is the norm. Okay, price hit this, they reverse. But price won't always stop at that level. Eventually, those levels are meant to be broken. So how do you recognize this? Well, first of all, how many times we've done it, the level of sentiment that is complete denial or disbelief that this is a bull market. It's perfect. This is exactly what I want to see. I want people not believing it yet. Now, today, they will. This is where the market shifts away from this belief because we made an all-time high. It's done. If by any chance the market start correcting again, they're going to freak out again. Oh, it's over. You cannot sustain a new all-time high. It's over. And I'm going to say, okay, perfect. Let's find the other buying point. Because as long as there's a worry, prices, bull market rise on worries, on a wall of worries. I did not invent that. I came in as a kid. I've learned that from the older guys that told me that. And then I observed it. And it's true. And it's always been true. And it's still true to this day. It's pure human psychology. Prices rise on a wall of worries. If you worry, it's fantastic. Just don't believe your worry. Just notice that you're worried, and that should make you bullish. Because if you are worried, everybody else is. The difference is one trader that has experience knows that. And the other that has no experience believe his emotions. So in my lingo, you cannot have a better bullish setup than this, even if we just made a new all-time high. Because what is happening and what the market is telling you is that it is so strong that the old history is no longer valid. Ethereum, it's building itself a new history, and it's a stronger one. So the old bands are now serving as support instead of resistance. So you've lived 5 years with that boyfriend or that girlfriend that is suddenly limiting you in your life choices and your dreams, and you say, sorry, bud, no more. I gotta go. That's what's happening. I gotta go. This is no longer meaningful to me. You mean nothing. It's whole history, and I'm not gonna live by that whole history. I want a new life. A life of expansion. Oh, I'm so proud of that. This is what markets are. In the end, it's always going to be human beings. Even if there's machine trading, there's still human being programming those machines. So the cycle of fear to greed to fear is inevitable. It's always going to be. And if you can learn to differentiate what you feel versus reality, reality is that prices are strong and they're rising. So your fear has nothing to do with that. Market doesn't care that you're scared or you're not scared or you're doesn't know how much money you have, doesn't know how much money you don't have, doesn't care. Market is marching higher and higher, rising on a wall of worries. This is not financial advice. This is simply market analysis. Okay. You need to do your own things. You need to set risk parameters. I never trade without stops ever. Ever. It's not a joke. Ever. If you're unable to put stop, you're still a gambler. What I do compared to an amateur mindset is I just prepare myself. I prepare myself for all possibilities. And since I don't know, and I cannot know, and nobody does, for sure, leave the Twitter feed alone and do your own thing. But if it is something like this, I am prepared. I know exactly how I'm going to handle myself. And that's why when we enter a phase like this, I am way, way less, I don't say interested, but I'm really not worried about corrections until I'm proven wrong. Because that's just not where my focus is. My focus is riding this baby till the end. Whether it's 7,000, whether it's 10,000, 50, I don't know. But the way I will handle myself will lead me to where the price is going. Because as long as it is strong like this, I will not freak out at every quarter turn. If you have the ability to handle every quarter turn, that's good. Fine, do it. During a long phase of expansion, outside excursion, like these spikes, if you can sell and buy a little bit lower, that's good. If it's not lower, then if you want to be in for the long haul, you gotta chase. So it's all about, again, making choices. And the truth about trading at the amateur level is people do not want to make choices. They want to make choices, but they don't want to take responsibility for those choices. They buy something and they instantly get married to the position because they don't want to make another decision of selling. That is why trading successfully is difficult, because we try to avoid what's difficult. And trading, it's all about embracing what's difficult and understanding why it is difficult. It's difficult for two things. You, me, us as human being, with our emotional background, and then price action that steers you in every direction possible, bringing everyday uncertainty. Dealing with uncertainty requires also a specific mindset. We try to replace certainty with some kind of divine idea that you can predict the future. That's going to hinder you way more than you think. You cannot predict, so that's part of what the first rule. First, accept thy loss. As soon as you enter into a trade, you have to accept that you could lose, that this position will go against you instead of for you. And that is why amateur trader never take losses, because it makes them feel bad, the hard decision. Trading requires the ability to make swift and difficult decisions through action. Why do you think people gets bullish here and not here? Because it's hard. Nobody talks about it. Why do you think people buy here? Because it's easy. Why do you think people don't sell at the top? Because it's hard. All you hear is bullish news. Everybody in the world is bullish. There's no end to this. It's never going to end. And are you crazy? Why are you selling? When you don't want to do something, dig inside to see why that is. Why do you find it difficult at this time exactly? And this is how you're going to learn, through observing your inner lingo versus the market's reaction or actions. This is how you're going to learn about yourself as a trader, as a human being too. They always say the stock market is the most expensive therapist. It will reveals it's not flaws, it's just what it is. We have strength and we have weaknesses. So it exposes our weakness to our weak spot. And it's unpleasant. So if you're not willing to learn and change, it's not changing your personality. It's learning your strength and weakness so that your weakness doesn't kill you. Are you ready? Do you have a plan to ride something like this this is what we're going through? And if it's not, then we'll have a signal sometime, somewhere. It really is that simple. It's not easy, but it's simple to understand. Again, it comes down, I will repeat, to your choice and to acknowledging down to your DNA level that you will miss the top. You will. I can guarantee that you will miss the top. The question is, where do you want to miss it? Do you want to miss it on the left side way too early, or on the right side just a little bit later? Because I know you're going to sell. It's either you're going to sell on the left side or on the right side of the top. Why? Because you know how little volume there is here compared to everything else. It's a pivot. The amount of the amount of energy it takes to think of it as what's the parable? If you roll a ball, a rock, a round stone at the top of a mountain, and it's sitting at the top, you could literally probably just blow on it so that it starts falling on the other side. Okay, a push with your finger It takes a tremendous amount of energy to rise this ball, this stone to the top of the mountain. Once it's there, it could even fall by itself. It takes no energy to flip from the, while it takes lots of energy to rise like this volume. So oftentimes you will see a top like this, it's very quiet. And instead of being a big fireworks like this, these are the fireworks expansion, and then it's so bullish that it just dies there. And that was actually a 50% correction. It was a crash. Okay, that week was a crash. That's 1 week. That was a crash. It's very difficult to avoid unless you understand. Again, it's micromanagement. It's being more experienced. This is a weekly chart. In a daily chart, it's much more visible. It's much more like, it's crazy. Okay, 1,800 to 4. I mean, it's more than 100% in a month. Okay, if you don't take profit on days like this or on a week like this, then you're not a professional money manager. You would have had to take some at least partial. But if you're a long-term investor, you just suck it up because it stayed all green, never flip. So you say, okay, well, I didn't see that one coming. But then you have a second chance to sell where? Still at that level. Okay, look here and here. It's the same level. And if we're right here, which to me looks like we are somewhere like here, and you dump everything and you say, thank you, I did like every single last time of the last 4 years when the Ethereum stopped here. So I was able to ride and recover my money, finally. And now the market goes into a spin to the upside and you're out. So it's very simple. You have to decide whether you're going to sell on the left side of the top or the right side of the top. Selling on the left side of the top is based more on fear. It's fear of missing out the top. I mean, when I say sell, it's like selling and going away, okay? You're done. Because you could be done here, 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 you could be anywhere, okay? So believe in the power of the market in the sense that there's a very simple rule. It's the same as physics. Unless there's a power, a force greater than the force that we're currently having to the upside, that's going to change this. A small correction of a week, that takes a week to let's put it on the daily. I'll show you what I mean. See that. So yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. You don't want to waste your time by counting. So from here to here, it's 7 days. From here to here, it's 7 days. What does that tell you? Like, look where we stop. That tells you the momentum is still up. If you cannot break down a previous rise in a faster amount of time, your momentum is still up. That's very crude, but it's very good at keeping your head straight. Right? Because it's physics. That's physics. Quiet, pivotal day, uneventful, and that was it. That was it for 4 years. We've never seen that price until today. Today! Sorry, again, longer than expected. Because hopefully you're going to find this enlightening and useful for your journey so that if your goal really is to, this time I'm not going to get screwed, I'm going to sell. But now I have the tools and the knowledge to know when to sell, but most importantly, when not to sell. I'm talking if your goal is long-term riding a long cycle. There's nothing worse than selling at the first quarter of a trend because you've been traumatized by your last cycle where you didn't sell nothing. So make the decision right now. Okay, I'm serious. Make the decision. Solid, like fist on the table. I'm doing this time. I am not going to sell on the left side. I'm going to ride it. I'm not going to try to guess where the top is, because if Ethereum goes to $20,000, I want to be there. This is what being in alignment with the market is, because the other part of your mind is that that's impossible. So yeah, I think at 7,000, I'm just going to get out. It's all in your head. It's not in the market. It's in your head. Your head means nothing to the market. Nothing. Market will do what it's going to do with or without you. And in fact, it will most probably, it will even do it stronger and better without you, because your potential demand that has not come in, your sideline. And I'm talking you, I mean, institutions are no better. Okay. They will panic at the top because everybody is long this, they're underperforming, and they make a decision right here. Yeah, I think we should put Ethereum in our books. It seems to be a strong investment at $15,000. Let's pick a number, even $10,000. I mean, if you really believe that it's going to stop here, you are more powerful than me. Wouldn't dare to say that's the top. It is just too damn powerful. Energy, momentum, disbelief until today, most probably. I'm sure it's going to change today. And what builds that disbelief? It's Bitcoin that is acting like a dog, an old dog. So that, yeah, well, yeah. Meanwhile, Ethereum is a rocket. Please make the decision, left or right, and stick to it for the whole cycle. Nowhere in this did I make any prediction. Okay? I'm not telling you you have to hold it because it's going to XYZ. I'm saying that if it goes there, this is how you need to handle this. Otherwise, you won't be there. And I want you to be there. Okay? I think it's plenty. Okay. Good luck, guys.